precursor to leading up to Pedal and Roll for Parkinson's was that I was teaching quite happily and enjoying my 5th grade classes and enjoying all the things you can do as a teacher, all the creativity you can bring in, and went to the doctor who said I had Parkinson's disease. And it had been probably 5 years or so in the coming, and I went home and told my dad I had Parkinson's disease, went over to his house and said, I have Parkinson's disease, and he said, no way, you don't have Parkinson's disease, they're mistaken. So 3 or 4 more neurologists later, I came to the conclusion I did indeed have Parkinson's disease, even though I was young, so it was called young onset Parkinson's. And the doctor who diagnosed me said I probably had 5 to 8 more years, maybe, of a half-time career. And so I started to think about what was next, because I don't sit idle well, and I think that most of us need to have a purpose and a reason to get up every day. So it took me a while to wrap my head around that, but that was the beginning of transitioning to, the reinvention of Liz Ogren. Well, leaving teaching was very difficult. It was not what I wanted to do. I did not want to admit that I had to. I didn't want to admit that I had to take medication every couple of hours in order to be able to function, and sometimes, the medication titration, getting it just right. Parkinson's is a movement disorder. So when you go to the doctor, they say you have Parkinson's, it is a movement disorder. Okay, and you can take medication for that will help with the symptoms, but we can't cure it. And you say, okay, movement disorder, maybe I'd better not move. And so I didn't. I thought if I didn't move for a few years or for a few days or a few months or a few hours, that I could conserve my energy and use it when I needed it. But it's actually the opposite. If you have a movement disorder, you have to move. It's your best way to combat the symptoms. So if you have trouble walking, you need to walk. If you have trouble standing, you need to stand. Trouble with balance, you need to practice balance. Whatever you do, if you want to do it tomorrow, you have to do it today. And so my brother literally dragged me off the couch and said, we're going to go work out. I said, I can't. I have papers to correct. I have kids to feed. I have a husband who's going to be home. If it's, a couple things to be done around here, that'll all be there tomorrow. You need to exercise today. And 3 weeks later, I was profoundly changed and convinced that exercise was, at least as powerful as the pills I was taking. And so I did do a little research, which, thanks to my college education, I know how to do research, and I also know how to look outside the box. And I tried to find out if there was any biking clubs locally. So I looked up Parkinson's and biking. As you know, everybody has a bike ride for every cause. And there were no bike rides for Parkinson's. It's exciting to have been doing Pedal and Roll for 8 years. So thinking back to when we started Pedal and Roll, I called it crazy idea number 48 because I was 48 years old, and I felt a need to gather the community together because in that Benedictine tradition also, the community is so important to everybody, everyone's success. I asked for some help from my team at Struthers Parkinson Center, which is part of Park Nicollet, and they said that they would help put an event together. Not intended to be a fundraiser, but we made a profit, and so we donated the money to the Parkinson Center and were able to enhance their programs for exercise that they had. So we did that for 5 years. We had an event every year. We'd gather about 180 to 200 people. In between times, people would call and say, well, what are we going to do the rest of the year? The Parkinson Center started to teach Nordic walking in their physical therapy programs, and that became our winter tonic, Nordic walking, and then biking in the summer, in small groups where we teach riding, and in small groups where we say, okay, you know how to ride, now let's go farther. They've learned about us, that we care about the people who come to us, that we treat them respectfully, that we are encouraging rather than critical, and that we will work with them until we have a way to get them on that bike and see the smiles and the joy and the ecstasy, really, at being able to move with some fleet speed. There are people who come to us from all sorts of venues, and they say, I understand that you can help me ride a bike. And they feel that joy. Very rewarding. And inspiring for us, too. We see how happy someone else is, and remember, we, too, have to get on our bikes and ride and get that exhilaration.
Oh, it's just so nice. I mean, it's a nice feeling of independence, I guess, again, to just pop in a bike and go.
I've always been a bike rider, and now that I have Parkinson's, I go slower. I don't go as fast, and I don't go as far as I used to. It's wonderful to be able to ride with other people.
I've tried to branch out and get other members of the community involved. I've had some fabulous mechanical help. I am not a bike mechanic. I have some fabulous volunteer mechanical help. I have people who come and greet riders and see what they need, talk to them, and have them, sign the waiver and take a couple notes about whether they know how to shift gears or when the last time was that they pedaled. I have people who ride with other people. Somebody who is maybe afraid of riding, needs a companion, and so they will ride along. Okay, so if I go back to St. Ben's and the mentors at St. Ben's, yes, I had fabulous professors. I don't know if I could pick a particular one that was more significant than all the, they were all, again, in their own academic area. I took a lot of different classes in different areas. I would say, though, that my group of friends was and is definitely, there are strong mentors in my life. I think that the important parts, there's so many important parts of the liberal arts foundation. For one, you study so many different things. You get to experience all sorts of different aspects of what there is out there to learn. In the Benedictine community, there was always somebody who cared more about you than they cared about the task that you were supposed to perform. So if you're having trouble with a task, it was more about what's going on, how can I be of service to you? They accepted me. And that acceptance, which I think is very prominent in the Benedictine culture at St. Ben's, I think very much reinforced my ability to take on big projects or to have self-confidence to take a leap like this. There's a strong desire to serve others in the Benedictine community, a strong desire to be compassionate toward others, which feeds right into teaching or into getting people on bikes, an overall love for humanity. I think the most important thing for a young person is to believe in themselves, in their own value, in their own ideas, and then to find the connections that they need to make what they need to have happen.